Hi, this is Luke from NekroWolf Studios.
And I'm Damien Hicks. Welcome to the Den.
And today, we're here with our special guest, Shipyard. Two-piece doom sludge metal band. Hailing from Geelong, would you say?
Geelong, Melbourne, yeah.
Geelong and Melbourne, yeah.
There you go, Geelong and Melbourne. Alright, well, I guess first question of all I want to ask you guys is, how did you guys come up with your name?
Go on.
Okay, we work at the #1 Maribyrnong Wharf.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, we work at a wharfside, riverside business, and ships, and the docking and the discharge thereof is part of our job.
Oh.
And we're surrounded by industrial kind of mechanisms, all to do with shipping, and it just seemed to make sense. And not only that, I think it's probably turned out to be a little reflection of the actual sound as well, hasn't it?
Oh, wait.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone's ever listened to them before, man, for just a two-piece with a bassist and a drummer, you really feel like you sound like, you know, a lot of people might think, oh, that might be a little empty, wouldn't it? But then you actually listen to it and you're like, what the fuck? This is actually amazing. This is immersive.
Yeah.
It sounds so much. That's just bass and drums?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you guys get established anyway, would you say?
We were just jamming for, it was probably like a little bit over 6 months maybe. Maybe closer to 12, I don't know. And then we were offered a show and we kind of thought, because we were posting shit on Instagram, we didn't know whether we'd play a show at all. And then we played our first show with Required. So that was at
Old Bar.
Old Bar.
Morbid Mondays.
Morbid Mondays.
Oh, yeah,
Mondays.
Yeah,
which was-
July
I
23.
know, that's amazing for a Monday, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Freaking for a Monday you get there. I was actually thinking, you know, it'll be cool. It'll be a Monday gig. It's, you know, free and all that stuff. Won't be a big deal. They get there. It's like we actually packed
It
the
was
place.
packed.
It's like
It
we
was
packed this
absolutely
place
packed,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
But then, you know, I've gone there a couple other times. Like I went and saw Monda Ernte really recently. We did a show with them last. With her. She's a Icelandic like solo woman.
Wow.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Phenomenal.
Man, I don't know. I'd kind of, you know, characterize it. I don't want to be offensive or, you know, piss anyone off, but I always characterize it as like a black metal Bjork in a sense.
Nice.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that really interesting kind of obscure stuff. You know, Bjork has that really sort of melodic sort of singing, but then, you know, all of a sudden Monta Ernte is just kind of pulling out, you know, these growls and stuff. And you're like, what? This little chick, what the hell? It's really kind of cool to see.
Yeah, that was a couple of weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I did know that was on, but I didn't get there for that. But yeah, that would have been cool. But Morbid Mondays are fucking ace. It's a bit of an institution now, right?
Yeah.
In Melbourne, Morbid Mondays. So
Yeah.
it was really cool that we started there.
Mm.
And yeah, we've played there a couple of times since. And
Yeah, I mean,
That's
we weirdly recorded a couple of demos before we played the live show.
yeah,
So before we'd even play live,
Yeah.
we got those 2 demos under our belt because at that stage we weren't sure whether we ever were going to be a live band.
Yeah.
So it was just literally
Just do it.
jamming, then going from that jamming into actually practicing something more structured, kind of that, you know, when you
Yeah.
overlap into, okay, so we've got jams, but we're knocking them into some kind of shape now.
Yeah.
And we just kept honing those particular songs. And then we were practicing at Invention Studio by the Maribyrnong in Footscray there on Moreland Road. It's no longer there now, unfortunately.
I know.
Became a
Yeah.
victim of the Westgate Metro Tunnel
Yeah.
rejig.
Yeah.
They lost all that land.
Yeah.
I think they've moved to Collingwood now, those guys. But we stayed west side because where we practice is close to where I live. So we just switched to Kindred, which we'd been practicing at before anyway, Kindred
Yep.
Studios. But while we were at Inventions, we enjoyed the space so much, and we found out that they had recording there. You know, they had a recording studio there, and we decided to lay down the 2 demos, put those on Bandcamp, and it just slowly started to kind of, people slowly picked up on it.
Very
So
good.
really, it was weirdly, it was about, how long was it? 3. It's probably a few months actually from the second demo to us playing the first live show, wasn't it?
yeah, it was. Yeah.
And that second demo that we did was the one where I think people kind of, we actually got heard by whichever way it is. You know how these things percolate and permeate. It's different every time with a different
Yeah.
band.
Yeah.
And whichever scene you happen to be in. And so it eventually kind of just started to get out there. And that's where the Morbid Monday show that we did with yourselves came about, I think. Was,
Yeah.
I'm not sure who noticed us, whether it was you or it was Old Bar or...
Yeah, I'm not sure either how that came about exactly.
Yeah.
See, in Requite, I'm just kind of, you know, look, I help with the recording and stuff like that. I kind of joined Requite to, not, because look, I have my own project going on and I'm kind of at the helm of that. But I wanted to join something that I could kind of take a back seat on, just play the music, be a part of the, you know, the whole journey and the vision.
Yep.
So aside from like helping with recording and I did produce the EP. We're going to be doing another album soon. But aside from doing that sort of stuff, like I just leave. All the other organisation stuff happens between. Actually, our other guitarist Matt.
Mm-hmm.
He started Black Oceans Media, his own company recently for booking. But he's actually been really kind of connected with people.
Yep.
Like our very first gig with Requite, for example, that actually came about with Clara Dash, and they actually asked Matt about my band Legion of Oblivion. Now that's that's still kind of doing its thing and still permeating or whatever, trying to get it together. It's a big project. But he turned around and said, no, that's not ready yet, but I'm in this other band Requite. So then that started, and then we, our first gig was with like Clara Dash, a few people, like in Slane. Anyway, so yeah, we just ended up kind of stepping into the gigging scene and then just getting these gigs, and that's, we got approached about that. I think Morbid Mondays just said that you guys were there and said, hey, you want to play? So,
Yeah.
we did it. That was a great night, man.
It was, yeah.
And one of the things I enjoyed about that is, like, first of all, we've got three basic, not rules, but three things that we like to live by, which is show up, get on with everyone, and bring the gear you need.
Yeah.
Three really basic, and between the two of us, that was all taken care of.
Yeah.
You guys are an absolute dream to get on with. Like, for a first show as well, we couldn't have wished for a better group of guys.
Yeah.
Because you were all super cool. And we kind of instinctively knew there's no problem going to make this work.
Yeah.
This is going to go off without a hitch, and it was great.
Yeah.
It was really, really good.
Yeah, I love laughing at you guys at the start of that shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's alright, if it goes really badly, I'll just get on and do guttural growls for you.
Yeah, but when you told me what you were going to do, I was really looking forward to it. I was like, he's going to do that through that headset? I can't wait to see this. And it happened.
Yeah.
Because I came up and asked you afterwards, did you double track anything? You said no. Everything came through this. I was like, what?
Actually, it's really funny. Matt, who I mentioned before, he was really, really skeptical about this because, a lot of pop stars and shit use it. Man, look, I'm a vocalist and a guitarist, but not just that.
I think you actually referenced Madonna when you started talking about
Oh,
it.
yeah, I did. Probably.
You did, and you know what I said? I remember what I said to you. I said, what he's forgetting is Madonna took over the world with one of them.
That's right.
And so did Janet Jackson.
But look,
so, you're going to watch what you say about the equipment.
Before you know, he's going to have the red button ready.
This is the key. This is the key to world dominance right here.
well, look, one
Microphone and a red button.
One hill I'll definitely die on with this thing, right, is I have to, change channels and do stuff as well. Like, I do backing, with Requite, I do backing vocals, I have to change the channels, and then, and especially at the point with the earlier stuff, because I'd been, the second longest member besides from Andrew, the vocalist, I was most established, so I was kind of helping keep the band together a bit. Especially before having a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, so, and then, what was I saying? Shit. Fuck, I hate going mental blank.
We don't take personal breaks, we take mental breaks here.
Yes.
Mental blank.
Mental health breaks.
Oh, shit.
Alright,
It's good for everybody.
so whereabouts did your sound come from and who does... Is it a collaboration of production, or is it more follow one lead and who comes up with the first piece of the puzzle sort of thing?
I put all the bass riffs and everything together.
So that comes first?
That comes first, and then as we get to practice and we start tinkering with new things, I might in my head have an idea of how things are going to go, but quite often when Gaz starts playing drums, there are some parts that we naturally gravitate towards, some riffs, some bridges and sort of changes during the songs.
Yeah, definitely,
just seem more natural than others, and that's how the songs are written, really. So
wow.
I come up with the basic ideas, and then we kind of
build on that.
Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
that's. I think because initially we were just jamming and just kind of reading each other. To do it any differently than that now just seems a little bit alien. So we just pretty much just.
And you were saying that the work that you both do that has an influence on your music. To what extent? Like, is it just in the background, the back of your head, when anytime you? It is there.
You actually, you're right on it, because it's people hear what we sound like. Now we actually have, regardless of whether we're taking it in on a subconscious level, we're always going to be taking in ambient noise where we work. So that ambient noise is cranes, trucks, ships, foghorns, the sound of the sea, all clashing. Which is why it's just one of those bizarre kind of like nature versus industry clashes that you see firsthand. Like you literally look
Well,
out
you
the window.
witness that every day, and I think that's fantastic that you're
Yeah,
bringing it into the music.
Yeah, it is purely just observational. You know, like it literally is purely observational. You can look out the back of where we work, the back of our site, and walk out to where the Maribyrnong is, and we're right down where the Yarra and the Maribyrnong split, so you can see beyond the West Gate out into the bay from the end of. Yeah, I was going to ask you about that actually. I was going to ask you about that. You can see the West Gate and past the viewing tower, you know, that they have overlooking the two wharves.
Yeah.
You can see out beyond that at the end of the island where we are.
Yeah.
But then if you look the other way, 200 metres to your right, there's a wetland bird colony there that's happily existing and fossicking away right next to a really kind of brutalistic industrial facility.
Yeah.
And so our music in parts, I think, actually characterises that kind of immediate clash between the natural world and the industrial world.
You literally got a representation of Footscray, seriously. Like, you really do. Because like I still go to Footscray Community Arts Centre, but I started my artwork there, right?
Yeah.
But I was surrounded by all of what you're talking about.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And all those crazy stories about the Maribyrnong River, which are real.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing how it's not that amazing because it's environment and impacts where you live and stuff. But yeah, it's just cool.
Well, my partner and I lived in Cowper Street, Footscray, at the bottom end.
Yep.
So just off Parker. So if you look left, you see Hyde Street and the school, but if you look right, straight away you're seeing the cranes.
Yeah.
So we almost lived not quite in the shadow of that.
Yeah.
But for 5 years there, you'd leave the house and look right, and there it was. There was the wharf. Brad was already working down there.
Okay.
And then we both started working down there later on. So all of a sudden, we were all actually down, like you were saying about the representation of an environment. You know, we lived in that area and worked in that area. So I think it was just inevitable, wasn't it? Without really trying to push anything in any one direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was literally just getting together, jamming, seeing what unfolded, and this is what unfolded.
Yeah.
Something amazing.
It's as natural as possible, kind of, without us trying to say, we're going to shoehorn this in.
Yeah.
We're going to make sure we include this. You know?
Yeah.
If we were doing a different type of project, that might have worked. You know, like that structure might have worked. But as Brad was saying about organically beginning with a sort of a bass riff, quite often, and one of the kind of I think the niche parts of the process that really works for us is Brad will start playing a riff that I've not heard in practice.
Yeah.
While I'm setting up, because I always take longer to set up as a drummer. Brad's already set up. He's playing a riff, and while I'm setting up, I'm listening to what he's playing. And then I just say to him, just keep playing.
Yeah.
So by the time I've set everything up, I'm already forming I'm forming something from what I'm hearing, from what Brad's playing. By the time I sit down, I can already start to basically, pattern something out.
Yeah.
And then we literally just go back in week after week and go home,
So
listen
almost,
to it, go back in, do the same thing.
Would you say it almost comes on like a muscle memory when you the process of that?
That particular part of the process, I think it does.
Yeah, cool.
I think it does because it's just become so natural to just do that.
Yeah,
What you're saying about muscle memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like you immediately just flip into that mode.
Yeah.
When we're doing a specific task, this part of the process comes with that, which is laying out the basic components, and then as Brad said, that's when we start to fill in the gaps and start to develop little sections within the basic structure.
Quite often it's just going back and just altering the sound to fit better. Just re-EQing things from my point of view, or at least anyway. Getting the delays and everything right, getting the changes right, and it's just all based around some simple riffs, really.
Do you have a favourite key to play in, or?
I'm in standard tuning.
Standard tuning.
Yeah. So,
It's a bit hard to kind of notice that on bass in a way. Unless you're like a bassist, you're like, oh, it's a standard tuning. But, it sounds really... Because it's bass anyway, it sounds freaking
Since we're
deep.
talking about bass, how many strings is it?
4.
4?
Oh, 4.
4.
Standard tuning, 4 strings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, but I do use an octave, one of the octave pedals I use. Not that one. I use that one on my board. Sorry, the drop pedal, and I've got a POG as well. The Electro Harmonics POG pedals. Just great. So I shift a whole octave down during the heavy parts as well. So it's like
that explains everything too.
So I blend a standard.
Yeah, when you answer that, I could hear in that tone that you have a lot of fun with that.
Oh,
yes. Yeah. It's fucking great pedal.
Beautiful.
So, alright, next question. Alright, talk about gig experiences. Now, one thing I've noticed, you guys got yourself into those DIY sort of gigs. Now, you want to tell us a bit about that? How how did they come about, sort of thing? Do you guys just go up to a place and go, fuck it, this place?
Oh no, we there's a guy contacted us. Billy, his name is. He's a mad genius.
Yeah.
He's really responsible for putting all those shows on.
Billy the Mad Genius. I like it.
Yeah, he's
It's a Billy.
Incredibly.
Billy Battles Cat
Yeah.
on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
He's your man.
Yeah,
Here's to you, Billy.
yeah. He's been putting these shows on. He does so much work and helps out so many bands and
Oh, cool.
doing lots of
Wow.
of work with lots of shows and he's the genius behind
That is
a lot of the
beautiful.
DIY shows.
Yeah.
Incredibly nice guy, very talented drummer. Fucking scares him great.
His band,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Scares him.
Scares him.
Yeah.
Schism. Okay.
We found there's so many really, really good bands and so many really awesome people involved in putting on shows and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He's just another one of those awesome crew, So
Yeah, we've become playmates with Scasm recently.
Yeah,
Ever since
yeah.
that first show that Billy
Very
put
cool.
on.
Yeah, looking over my notes, your
Yeah.
last show with them was 16th September, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Morbid Mondays.
All the Mondays,
Yeah.
yeah.
It
We
was
had-
called Mondays.
We had Noah mix us, which is the same
Yeah.
guy that mixed our first show.
Noah's really good, I noticed that actually. Out of all,
Yeah.
with sound, man, a lot of sound venues in Melbourne, I might piss off a lot of the venue people, but a lot of the sound venues in Melbourne, especially for a while there, can be really hit or miss.
Yeah.
Like the old Bendigo Hotel, don't even get me started on that. I tried doing sound there enough times, let alone trying to, play a couple of shows there, and they weren't the worst. They weren't the best, but, I already knew what to expect from the Bendy by the time playing.
Yeah.
But God, that place as a sound engineer was enough to give you a connection feel. Even for our show, we had, Mike, Dr. Mike from E01 Studios. He was doing our sound, and he did an amazing job. But even he was like cursing mixing desks and stuff, going, this place,
Yeah.
Some of the most skilled of us will have the biggest problems there.
It's funny because that place has also been times I've been there has sounded great as well. Like the sound, I think.
Especially these days. Apparently, since the change of ownership, the sound has gotten a lot better there.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we're really excited about going there these days. I mean, when the old Bendy closed down, people shattered because it was it's like a home metal and everything like that.
Well,
But
it did change management a few times.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's coming back though, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no, it's back now. Apparently with better sound and everything. Apparently we're going to be playing a show. I don't know. I don't even keep track. I don't really sort out the show aspect of it. Leave that down to Matt and stuff. I'm just there to record the music.
That'd
Make
my
it sound
stage
heavy.
presence and be awesome and then leave. Yes.
Well, I don't know about the awesome thing. More like be lame. But
The Bendigo's on our list of places to do.
Yeah.
So and we're glad it's reopening because
Yeah.
we didn't get a show there before it shut down. So
Well, if you do
the whole
do a
thing
warehouse one again, I want to know about it.
We got
we
got others
have.
coming up.
So you've got up and coming shows.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk about that right now?
We would, yeah, why not?
Great.
Alright.
Yeah.
26th of October.
Yeah, that's
Now that's with Parlour and Letibulate, and that is going to be at Cafe Gummo on High Street in Thornbury.
Oh, yep. Yep.
And on the 12th of October, we have another DIY show in Preston. That's going to be a big one. That's 2 stages and about 8 or 9 bands playing, I think. That's a DIY show in a busted up old garage,
Yeah.
isn't it? Preston Hilton.
Fantastic.
The Preston
Yeah.
Hilton.
Yeah,
Again,
that's-
contact Billy for details or look on Shipyard Doom Sludge's Instagram.
So I'll put links to everything, including like Bandcamp and all that stuff. I'm gonna do that with every band that comes on here.
Super.
In the ending credits and stuff. But all right, back to DIY gigs. With the logistics, what are the biggest issues you find with like sound or legal stuff?
We have a ghost, just so everyone knows.
Yes, we do.
In dog form. That's how he got his name.
So don't mind him. He's a big boisterous boy. He
Yeah.
just can't behave himself. So
Well, I suppose with the DIY thing, I mean, well, it's funny you should mention about the DIY. How we got involved with Billy was we were playing a show at Whole Load of Love in East Brunswick, which I don't think is there anymore. I think that's shut as well. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So we played a show there, and it was only us and Bong Cleaner playing that night. It was only about 20 people there. We thought, okay, it hasn't worked out how we thought, but we still have put on a show like we normally do. You know, it wouldn't matter who we could play to, you know, 2 kittens. It wouldn't matter. We'd play the same. And Billy happened to be walking past that bar with his son that night. Like, just happened to be walking past. Heard us, had never heard of us before, could see us through the glass, could hear us from the street, and then got in contact with us and booked us. Because he just happened to be walking past that night when we were playing that Friday night.
That is amazing. I love that.
He could have walked past there half an hour before or after and completely missed us, and
Completely
we might still
synchronistic,
not
yeah.
have crossed paths.
Yeah.
But because that happened to happen, that coincidence happened, he heard us and then got in touch and said, I want you to play my next DIY show in Footscray. So
Fantastic.
we did that. And it's just, again, one of those things where playing that show, meeting other people in other bands, and then from there it just kind of butterfly affected out into what it is, you know. It's, you meet one person in one band, they know someone else. You know, you guys know how this works.
Yeah.
And then it just starts to go, doesn't it? And that's what happened. It just started to motor from there. I think when we first played the Foundry, we were like, yeah, great. This is the kind of venue that we kind of dream about playing, a rusted old industrial facility. This is perfect for us. This is
Well, I did.
Yeah.
we couldn't have wished for any more, you know.
Yeah.
Great big old kind of empty, rusting shell of a industrial facility with high ceilings and gaps in the walls. And
Perfect.
Brad's bass apparently recorded 102 decibels that night. He was told by a lad that was there
Who
recording.
needs reverb?
We finished playing, and he came rushing up to Brad with his meter and just said, "Look at that, mate! You did 102 decibels in the back of the room." Like, wow.
So with the sound stuff, like, do they have like proper live gear there? Or are you just there with your amps and like a little PA thing for the vocalist, or what happens?
They pretty much run, a small PA with, you know, they might mic up the snare and the kick, and then a couple of vocal mics, and that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, it's kind of easy, I suppose.
Yeah.
Portable PA, running things off generators.
Yeah. These like generators, that's brutal.
Yeah. He's that kind of hardcore, isn't he, Billy?
He is.
Yeah, he's that DIY about it.
Yeah.
Same in, like, you know, when we got there and saw that there were two kind of like almost like workman's lights on 2 PA stands. That was the lighting for the whole venue, but you didn't need any more than that. It turned out it was perfect, you know.
Just enough.
And when we played that show, after we played that first show with Billy, that was basically not us like in with them as such, if you know what I mean, because he does a lot of shows for a lot of different people. But whenever he's putting on a show and he's got a little slot there, he thinks we can fit in, he's straight onto us. So yeah, it's nice.
That's awesome.
It's good. And that way we get to just play with a variety of different people as well. We never know what lineup we're going to find ourselves on.
I've seen you play Bomb Cleaner a few times, for example.
Yeah, they're great too. Like we, you know, really kind of lucky to have met so many cool people doing so many cool music projects. It's fucking great.
It sounds like there's been a lot of right place, right time.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Because
So it's just meant to be.
all of a sudden, you know, we get to a point where we're like, oh, we've got one more show booked and we haven't got anything, and then all of a sudden we have again. Like, you know, we just sort of keep getting asked to do shows, which is great. We did when the EP came out, we did 3 shows in a week, and it was too much, and we're kind of thinking now, 1 or 2 a month.
We went from 3 in a week, and that was kind of by accident. It would have been 4 because we got asked to do another one on the Thursday night. We were playing 4 shows in 6 or 7 days, which would have been too much, really, at that stage, because it wasn't meant to be we weren't meant to be on any kind of tour as such, you know. But we almost ended up with 4 shows in 8 days. We ended up playing 3 and 6, as it was, and then as Brad just said, we've tried to kind of, you know, retract it to about 1 a month. But as is always the way with things, we're already up to 2 a month.
Yeah.
We've already got 2 in October. We're seeing you today, you know, and we've got 2 shows lined up in October. And we initially thought that the 26th of October show was actually coming up next Thursday, as in the 26th of September, until we both reread the message.
Oh wait, October.
We were like, okay, we've got a little bit longer now, but it's it's just like, okay, we'll try and stick to 1 a month, knowing or at least having that flexibility that if something else turns up within that month period, we can slot a second one in, and then that really is it. We've got to try and just put the brakes on just a bit.
That's not
Just
fair.
a bit, because
But those-
I mean, there are other bands. Obviously, there's people in other bands that can devote more time
Yep.
to doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
But we obviously have jobs and lives and everything outside of what we do as well. So we just not trying to control it with too strictly, but just being sensible at how much we can manage.
Yeah.
And just adjusting things slightly to fit
Yeah.
instead of going bullet a gate like we have done on a couple of occasions, which kind of hasn't not backfired on us, but certainly
You just end up knackered.
it just burnt us
It
out.
just ends up
It
being
was
too
more
much.
burnout than enjoyment.
Yeah.
And you never want that.
No,
So
it's like anything to work, hey?
yeah, exactly right. It shouldn't feel like work. It should feel like fun.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
those DIY shows though, they're a hell of a lot of fun.
Mm, good.
And
Yeah.
they're all benefit shows as well.
Yes.
Oh wow.
So rather
Okay.
than have to go through the whole rigmarole of chasing payment from a venue, you just
Yeah.
know, you just turn up. You're doing it for the love.
Mm.
You're contributing money and time and effort to a cause that you want to get behind.
Yeah.
And it's just all joy.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing shit or
There's
I
no
don't know,
there's no
it's-
negative muso, clicky. We've not found that at all. There's
No,
there's
it's
none of
just-
that kind of stuff.
Because you're not in black metal.
Look,
yeah.
the nuances in the black metal scene are something I can't touch because I wouldn't know. I know that there's a lot that goes on in
is
that
that
scene.
though?
Yeah.
Look, I'm one of those people. I've kind of stayed outside of everything normally. Like
Yeah.
even like scene wise stuff. Even when people kind of people saw me around,
Mm.
they didn't kind of know me very well.
Yeah.
Because I just kind of kept myself away from it all.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I've just been a dude who listens to what I like and stuff, and
Mhm.
like talking to people who like what they like.
I don't think you
Yeah.
would do if you weren't enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I don't know. A lot of this stuff is very lost on me. Look, I understand there's certain things of racism and other points that come up.
National
Things-
socialist thing.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And I think that comes into a little bit. But I don't know. I guess it's just we've become so part of it as well. We've become so categorized. We're trying to just over categorize everything. All these little subgenres and sub this and sub that.
Yeah.
It becomes really divided. And it's like, okay, look, as someone, for example, that grew up around the 90s, early 2000s, and listened to metal. When emo started being like really popular.
Yeah.
And back then, even though I was kind of like fucking emos, rah.
Yeah.
But now, like, I was starting to fall into traps like that. But then I had to kind of take a step back and wait. We all come from, it's all, at the end of the day, it's all just music. Fuck all the rest of that stuff. I might not like it myself, but let people enjoy whatever they want to enjoy, right? Not bothering me.
Yeah.
I think more people just need to kind of do that a little bit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But there's like with everything, there's good and bad examples of like black metal, right? You don't listen to it all. You just listen to what you like.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Take
that
from
simple.
it
If you
what
don't
you-
like it, you don't like it.
Yeah,
So-
that's right. It's the
You're not
same-
going to listen to it
same-
again if you don't like it.
See, I really like in terms of black metal. I really like Leviathan because he does a lot of slow stuff.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong. I love the lightning fast black metal as well, but I like slow black metal because that resonates more with me.
Yeah.
And I just happen to find that particular artist does it the way that I like.
Yeah.
And I know somebody who's a lot more versed in black metal than I am could quite easily turn around and say he's an amateur compared to, and list all these other artists. But I know that that's the one that I like. So it's just
Okay, that's the other thing as well. They
it's just,
associate
it's
speed
just
with
one of
skill.
those things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, it's really funny being, working in a studio, for example, and you have these dudes that have been playing guitar for forever. They've never recorded a day in their life, but they've been playing for like, even 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They think they're coming in legendary, but then they actually record themselves like, what the fuck is that? What did you do to my recording? You're like, dude, have you ever recorded before? No, why don't you need to? It's like, no, you need to. This is one thing I think every musician should kind of do, every band, right? One suggestion I should give you. Listen, if you want to know if you're ready to go to a show yet, listen to yourself play. Listen to yourself play live. And listen to things. I mean, you don't have to play exactly pristine. Just as long as the songs kind of flow and you kind of sound like you're together. But that's one thing everyone should do. Is kind of listen to themselves jamming. And just kind of see, it also help improve things. You might be able to go, okay, the second time we go to this verse, we're all falling apart here. We've got to really, really knock it down on that. It helps you look over your whole performance and then tighten things up as it goes. And then by the end of it, people are like, oh my God, this is your first show, you played amazingly. And you're like, you're so skilled. It's like, man, we put a lot of preparation into this. Heaps of it. You understand, we were practicing like full on for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And we still fucked up half the day.
Yeah. But what you're saying about like people equate speed with like precision and all that kind of stuff, and skill and all that. But playing slow is so hard sometimes.
It is. Oh yeah.
Tempo changes and getting it right, and and playing really slow is fucking hard.
It can be.
And
Oh, definitely.
Work at it.
Definitely. Oh yeah, because a lot of people, especially if you're used to playing fast. Alright, this one band that I was kind of a little involved with trying to do the bass parts for. Whole story there. Elijah Wept. The guy who was actually, the guy who wrote the music, he was actually, I think he said he was in like grindcore or something. And before he went to, then did a complete like 180 and went to like full on like doom metal instead, like symphonic doom metal. Yeah, Alistair. Yeah, I hope you're doing well in England. I hope everything's going well with Elijah Wet, by the way.
Oh, in England. Oh, whereabouts?
Oh shit, I'm not sure at the moment. He only moved there more like last year, I think.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. I was wondering if there's anywhere I knew. It's been for 20 years myself, so yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember. But yeah, but no, it was really funny. Like, yeah, someone like that, he went from like grindcore or deathcore or something. I can't remember. It was something a lot more fast paced than, symphonic doom metal. But then, yeah, you listen to this stuff, it's like half of it's like, 110 BPM, even slower. But even trying to play along to that, because I was used to like, faster tempos, even I found it a bit tricky. I mean, yeah, everyone's like, just hold one note for ages. It's like, nah, man, timing's still timing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can still try to jump the gun, special style songs.
Yes.
Other people are like, no, come on, no, we get it. You can zoom around the fretboard at 200 BPM, that's fine. But show us a bit more than that, A skilled player, I believe, can have a bit of variation.
Yeah.
I mean, people do what they do, and some of them, there are a lot of guitarists out there, especially lead guys. They can't help but fucking everywhere, right? It's just their style. And that's cool. But you also notice even with them, they will kind of have points where they can, know how to express notes.
Yes.
With solos, not every solo has to be, fiddly widdly. Some of it can be, ring out notes and knowing how to make.
Yeah, it could be diddly doo as well.
You know what I mean? Like, a real good player knows how to make the guitar scream at times. How to really get what they want out of an instrument. And, as a guitarist myself, I've been playing for about 20 years. Look, I don't think I'm 20 years skilled though, right? Like, I think for the first 7 years, I was literally just improv, right? And then by about 7 years in, I'm like, maybe I should learn what the hell I'm doing here. With Legion, I'd already written like half that album by then. But then it kind of, in some ways it helped my playing. In other ways, I feel like I might have, I don't know, I had to change my playing a little bit. Because then when I was trying to improv, just going off feel, then it's like, no, but the scale says this. Like, shut up about the scale. If it feels good, it feels good.
Yeah. Yeah, you can always, if you're enjoying what you're playing, you can always learn structure later.
Yeah. And
well, like we obviously all of us would know structured players.
Yeah.
But I think people who are overly structured, you lose a little bit on the other side of
the actual freeform
freedom,
stuff.
creativity. That kind of goes, and then you get a very clinical player, which is great. Someone can make an excellent living for themselves as a session musician doing that. But a lot of session musicians then find it hard to go outside of that and then be in a more expressive freeform kind of band. So I've never had a drum lesson. Everything that I'm playing, I've learned myself.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Literally.
Yeah.
I hadn't touched a drum. I went 10 years without going anywhere near a drum kit before Brad and I did this.
Yeah.
Like in any serious capacity. And even in the 5 years before that, when I was noodling around with projects here, none of that ever took off the ground. So I was literally just sitting in for people for a little while, and then stepping away, and then doing something else, and the same thing, kept happening. And then after a while, either nobody was doing these projects or people were doing different things, and it didn't really particularly affect me because I thought, well, if I'm meant to pick the sticks again and have another go later on, I will.
Yeah.
And sure enough, this came along, and that was when it was
Yeah.
meant to happen. And what you're saying about playing freeform, I think one of the things that really works for us is that that's how we practice.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what you're saying there about your playing, being that.
Yeah.
If I was a really technically structured drummer, and then Brad came in playing something, like very imaginative, I might be a little bit too square in my playing to be able to really respond and react to what he's doing.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that because we kind of just started this by accident, and a happy accident, a lot of the song structures came that way too.
Yeah.
It's very much on just an instinctively creative level than actually going in there and thinking, right, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, no. Okay, one thing I think that I also did initially, I had actually before I had Guitar Pro or Guitar Tab software, I literally had papers this thick. Because Legion of Oblivion is a 7-piece band, right? So like keyboards, 3 guitars, like 2 lead, rhythm guitar, and the drums and all that.
Wow.
So I was literally writing this stuff, really, really, really amateur sort of tab sort of stuff. I didn't even know what timings I was writing in or anything like that. That's pretty much the reference I had. But then my friend Brad one day turns around and goes, "What the hell? All right, that's it. No. You can't be doing that constantly. Here, try this." He gave me Guitar Pro. And then, oh my god, trying to actually translate the stuff from my paper into actually the proper notation and stuff like that. Oh my god. It took me forever to realize I wasn't even playing 4/4 half the time. I'm like, oh, really? Crap.
Yeah.
So that also in its own way kind of, brought, for a while there was kind of clamping my playing, I felt. It was just too much trying to stay within the thing. But now I just use it more as a guide. So half the time when I give someone a tab, the notes are right, but the way of it playing isn't quite spot on until I show them. And it's really hard to kind of tab that in there. But whatever. Yeah.
So, how did you guys come together?
We've known each other for 25 years.
Yeah. So we played in a hardcore band in England together in early 2000s. I was playing guitar. This isn't the first band I've played bass in.
Oh,
So
okay.
I play guitar in the other bands I've been in, and play guitar in the hardcore band.
Yep.
We played in England, and we did a bunch of shows, and just had a good time doing that. Really.
Basically,
Like, that was,
had a blast doing that.
Heaps of fun, and then
That all came about by accident as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was just two friends of mine
yeah,
that I knew when we were living in Leicester. And then Brad came up with his guitar one day, and we just hit a studio and see what happened. And ended up doing that for a year.
my wife is Gary's cousin,
Oh.
Yeah.
so that's how that connection kind of happened initially. Anyway,
Oh.
we started playing in a band together, and then we moved back to Australia, and I was playing in other bands and doing things, and Gaz moved over, and it's taken like quite some time for us to get round to doing this, but
it's happening now.
it's happened. So.
Yeah.
It was. It was. We didn't know how long it was in the making, did we?
Yeah.
Until
No.
we accidentally found ourselves in a studio with that equipment, with me on drums and Brad on bass.
Yeah.
And we'd never done that before because in the last band in the UK, I was the vocalist and Brad was the guitarist.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've gone from being vocals and guitar to bass and drums.
Oh wow, that's actually a really
Yeah.
funny parallel if you think
Isn't
about
it?
it. And you brought the bass and drums to the complete forefront, right? I mean,
Yeah.
look, drums always kind of always there kind of thing, but then people associate the vocalist as well. But I actually love that fact that you haven't got a vocalist. You don't need guitar, like you just fill out a sound with what you got. Fucking awesome.
It a lot of inspiration from that band
Yeah.
or Om, depending on how you like to pronounce it.
Yeah.
A lot of that
Massive
from them.
fans.
Yeah.
And because we were both fans of Sleep, obviously before Om and
Yeah.
Al and Chris were the rhythm section in Sleep, and they were then the whole of Om,
Yeah.
like that. And Al's one of Brad's all-time favourite bass players, and I'm the same with Chris when it comes to drums. So that kind of made sense for us too, and that's another big influence. Is we can't get away
What
from
an
that.
amazing collaboration. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Earth,
Yeah.
Earth is another one.
And the Melvins was another one.
Melvins, yes.
Alright, let me just read the description here. I love this description that you guys put up here on
Let's
your
go.
Bandcamp. It's an instrumental stoner sludge, heavily influenced by Earth, and the Melvins, ripping off their favourite elements of Slint, Pelican, Jesus Lizard, Cavity, Breach, Bell Witch. Is it Sun-O? Is that how you say it? Sun-O? I've always...
Sun.
It's just Sun?
Sun.
So I always looked at that wondering, is that O was supposed to be said? No. Okay, Sun and Isis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big amps and plenty of volume to deliver crushing stoner meditative riffs. I can agree with that completely.
Yeah, that's right on it, isn't
No
it?
wonder you guys have so much fun.
Yeah. I think initially, because the more we play, we're slowing down a lot.
Yeah.
So initially we drew on a lot of those influences and we're playing quicker. And we got compared to a lot of rep bands from the 90s. Like, a lot of, like, particularly Melvins and Jesus Lizard and those type of bands. But as the more we play and the more we write, we're just slowing down a lot more. And,
Yep. So would it be fair to say that you've become more articulate about it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think as the more we
Good
play,
choice of word, actually. Yeah.
when we recorded with at Goat Sound, with Jason from Bloodduster, and he understood that we were still looking for what we wanted to sound like.
Yeah.
Because I don't think the more we play, the more it becomes apparent to us. But initially we were,
What is it?
fuck,
Yeah.
we didn't know.
Yeah.
We were just hammering shit together.
Yeah.
And we
most organic way to do it, really. I love that, man. I feel like in a way.
But when you know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
people need to do that more. It's like everybody's just going, oh no, I want to do a death metal band. I just want to do this band. I just want to do that band. Man, I don't even know what to call my music for freaking ages, right?
Yeah.
Band name, let alone genre. I'm like, you know, I
Yeah.
like symphonic black metal, I like death metal, I like doom metal, I like,
Yeah.
you know, neoclassical stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
yeah.
waiting for the day when they announce a band called It. So this is it.
Taking inspiration from everywhere.
Yep.
So, talking about gigs, what is one of the worst experiences you've had gig-wise?
Worst. Oh, crikey, we have to dig around for something that was bad.
No,
It could be anywhere, right? It could be even like prior shows with the other bands or anything like that.
We played a show in Geelong where we faffed around too much before, and we tried to do the show on no food and alcohol, and we got ourselves in a really bad state as a result of that. We're never doing that again.
Yeah.
That's got nothing to do with
Anything else?
anything else really. It's just that. It's just we spent too much time talking to other people in bands and not enough time setting ourselves up. Ever since then, we decided, well, we're never doing that again. We'll make sure we eat properly before we go.
Yeah.
We're not kids anymore. You
Yeah.
know, we're grown adults. We should be able to at least manage that.
Yeah.
So, you know, that whole... And weirdly enough, we both read the same book about a band called Bitch Magnet that were around in the late 80s, early 90s. And the guy who was the guitarist in that band wrote this book about his band.
Right.
And explain, you know, basically, like, everyone would be able to relate to this book. It doesn't matter what scene you're in.
Yeah.
This was the late 80s, early 90s kind of like hardcore indie crossover in the States. And he explained in that how many times they bundled from town to town in a busted up old van. They didn't eat properly. They didn't look after themselves. They got really run down and sick 2 weeks into it.
Yeah.
You know, and I could identify with that, and we only happened to us one night.
Yeah.
So that's one of the, that's probably, you know, but that was kind of our own making, but at the same time, because we're quite sociable, helpful people,
Yeah.
we do end up devoting a lot of time in setting up these shows and helping out other bands, which is great. But at some point, you've got to remember to feed yourself as well, yeah. You know, that's
Yeah.
the
Oh,
other
yeah.
Put
thing.
fuel in
It's one of the
the
worst
tank.
things I'm bad. Thing I'm bad at.
I know Brad had a bit of an experience at one venue with like power, and you know, like the odd kind of like power issue and
I mean,
all that kind of stuff.
Minor. Like, we've
But
been
they're
really
just
lucky,
they're just
really.
they're kind of just that comes with it.
Yeah.
I think the second show we played with Flood at Bar Open on Brunswick
of
Street in
course,
Fitzroy.
Yeah, okay.
We got about 30 seconds into our second song and the lights went out in the room.
It was completely dark. It was just the light from my pedal board. For some reason, that was the only light in the room, right?
Wow.
Proper
If
doom.
you know that upstairs, at Bar Open. I don't know if you've seen it. There's a big mirror on the ceiling, and it's above where the drum, where obviously where the drum's set up on stage. So I was lucky enough that the amount of reflective light that was coming off that mirror in a dark room was hitting the top of my cymbals and reflecting back at me. So I knew where all my cymbals were, and from that I could work out where all my drums were.
So
And we didn't
Did
miss a
you-
beat.
We didn't.
were
we
you
didn't
able to
stop
move
playing.
from
We
that
played- we
one
played through the
spot
dark.
without with still being able to see everything?
We didn't drop a stitch. We carried on playing.
Nice.
Fantastic.
We played in the dark.
We just played through it, which was surprising.
We just kept going.
Yeah. No, this is what I was
Like, it'd be
talking
literally
about,
like
right?
if you switch the lights
The
off right
worst
now
gig
and we
experience.
were to continue this conversation without any break in the conversation.
Yep.
It's exactly like that. We just carried on playing. This is our second show.
God damn.
Yeah.
And I think it was very much that sink or swim moment for us
Yeah.
because it would have been really easy in your second
God.
show with the lights going out 30 seconds into your second song
Yeah.
for you to just go, all right, we'll just wait for the lights to come back up and we'll start again. But
Yep.
that didn't happen. We just
Yeah.
went through it. We just
You always got it right.
but played it properly as well. We didn't
Yeah.
shamble about in the dark.
Yeah.
Thankfully. And then the sound guy, he was a really cool guy actually, and he was so apologetic afterwards. He goes, "Oh God, I'm so sorry about it. I don't know what happened and all this." I was like, "It's fine, mate."
We never do though, right?
Yeah.
There's so many ghosts in the system. It's so
Yeah.
weird. Like,
Yeah, and we said to him, "That's not your fault. You didn't predict that was going to happen. Secondly, you mixed us really well, so we've got no complaints with your effort. You were great.
Yeah.
You know, it's not your fault the lights went out. To be fair to him, I think we saw him like giving it a bit of this, trying to like switch it back on. You know, like, saw some arm going crazy in the shadows, like trying to get the lights back on, and it came back on, and we just carried on like nothing had happened.
Yeah, it's fine. But that wasn't like the worst experience. It was just a experience that has a bit of storytelling value now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is it. We're really scratching around to try and find something negative.
no, that's good. That's
That's
really
about
cool.
all we can come up with, really.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, what through your career, what would have been the most strangest gig or strangest experience you've had?
making having the ambulance turn up.
Oh,
Yeah, one of the DIY shows we had someone was kind of unwell, and during our last song, flashing red and blue lights and paramedics there, and we're like, whoa, all right. Lucky we were winding up.
Yeah. we were 30 seconds from the end of the last song.
Yeah.
We were just finishing the last song, and I'm still playing, and in my left ear I've got Billy saying, Gaz, you're going to have to wrap it up, mate. We've got an ambulance case here. We've got someone, the ambulance is here picking someone up like that. And I was like, I said to him, we've got 30 seconds left, Billy. And he was like that. And we finished, and then the crowd parted, and then we saw someone receiving assistance.
Right.
Yeah.
They were okay though.
They were okay.
That's good.
Yeah, they were fine.
That's always good.
Yeah, you don't like. Yeah, nobody should be getting.
No.
I think they just. I think they might have just sizzled their sausage a bit more than they.
Yeah.
You know, that was it.
Yeah,
They just overcooked themselves a bit. Had too much of a good time.
Too much.
Oh, that's really easy to do. That's why, for example, like before your show, I might only have 1 or 2 drinks, but then after that, man, I'll just.
Yeah, Jack Sparrow.
After that point, I'm fucking 10 chase the wind.
I'm the same. I'm lemonade before, cider after.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's and I've always been the same.
Yeah.
Brad can have a beer, a stout, or anything really, and be fine.
Yeah.
But for me, it works the other way. I just like that, you know, just that feeling of clarity for an hour or so going into it, you know, and then after that, do whatever.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh god, I actually remember with our show, right? I actually had a space cake that like half space. It wasn't even full one, right?
Yeah.
It was like a quarter of one.
Yeah.
And it was fine. Like I operate on that stuff just fine. Like most
Yeah.
people see me doing it, they're like, "What the fuck? You actually do that?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude,
yeah,
you just don't seem like it. But no, this thing, music was fine. Talking to people afterwards was the problem.
Yeah.
Just getting my thoughts together, formulated afterwards was the problem, right? Trying to actually talk to people. But yeah, no, I did find that kind of alarming though. I'm like, Jesus, the music was fine. Like everything, all that stuff was kind of second nature, especially with the first stuff we played.
Yeah.
Like me and Andrew ended up spending at least almost 2 years trying to put stuff together. Actually, recorded quite a bit for him with the guitar stuff, and no matter what was happening, he just wasn't quite finding what he wanted. So when they were like, just get Guitar Pro, just work out what you want to do, and then we'll go from there. You know. But no, it was really good once he did get Guitar Pro, because then, you know, he really started structuring the songs. But for ages, it's just myself and him, you know, in the studio just trying to put this stuff together. So by the time we got other band members, you know, it was kind of just, it's kind of second nature to me at this point. You know, the little changes here and there, but for the most part, you know, structures were kind of there. And another thing, like, my normal approach in regards to learning music is I will record, like, I'm a big fan of recording from start to finish, right? I mean, yes, we've got cutting and pasting, all that crap. But I really feel like, in one way, it's really, really organic to get that start to finish take. But also, if you can play it start to finish, then you have no problems whatsoever with playing it live. You know? It's actually kind of my problem with the second stuff. Like, with this last gig with Requite, it wasn't a bad gig at all. We all kind of messed up a little bit. But for me personally, I was out of sorts because I got kind of told, don't record your stuff yet. Wait, hold off on it. So I was still practicing the music, but I wasn't recording it. I was trying to subconsciously not. Oh man, if you let me sit in a studio and record, I can get an album done in like a night sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
well, from the audience perspective, like that gig was phenomenal.
Yeah.
So like, I'm pretty sure it would have been only the musicians on stage that would have noticed those mistakes.
Yeah.
I witnessed everyone there. They were having an amazing time, and they were just like this. You know what I mean? So,
oh yeah, no, we got some. Actually, it's been really, really cool the reception we've gotten from people in general.
well, you've created completely different sound, so
Yeah.
it's going in a really good direction.
Andrew has made a completely new sound. Different sound. Man, all I know is, okay, James, rest his soul, he was actually the drummer for Legion. He put up an ad one day, and, you know, saying about post-black metal. Now, look, I didn't know what the hell post-black metal was. All I know is I saw black metal, and I'm like, fuck it, I'll do it. Someone's also giving me a bit of hell on there. It's like saying, you know, they're looking for 2 guitarists for a band, himself as a drummer and a bassist. And some guy got on there and started giving him hell.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to actually respond to that guy's comment directly. I just meant to make my own comment, but it did. Turn around and say, hey, don't worry about it, buddy. Bring your bassist down to my studio. You know, let's see what we can do. That's kind of just how it started. But yeah, the whole time, like, I kind of just like, fuck it. It's black metal. What can go wrong? Yeah. And I'm starting to understand it now. You know, there's a lot of shoegaze, sort of death gaze sort of elements to it. You know, a lot of, I guess. Yeah.
We play with a band called Lily of the Valley.
Yeah.
That are blending a lot of those influences you've just talked about.
Okay.
So there's black metal, shoegaze, post metal, whatever you want to call it. You know, we played the show with them in Preston, and we knew one of the guys. Well, actually, we knew two guys in that band because they're in another band called Latibulate, who we're also playing with. So we'd seen Latibulate play, and they're kind of screamo metal, but more emphasis on the metal, on the thrash.
Yeah.
But then those two guys also play in this band called Lily of the Valley. So they're borrowing influences a little bit from the other band, but it's kind of like more along the lines of what you were saying there, and they're not worried about blurring the lines between three different sounds and incorporating that into one song.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about that as well. Is like you're saying, like people say black metal and they have this idea, but there's so many layers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
So, and what you were saying about scenes within scenes, everybody's like suddenly, all right, someone's doing this over here. Oh, someone's borrowed from that, and they're doing this over here and joining up with what started over here. Next thing you know, you've got a new triangle of music that's been created, and people working in that, and it's like.
It's really cool because
keeps going.
It can be like good and bad at the same time. Like it's really cool for more variety, but that's really bad when people start getting into their whole like clandestine nature of oh you listen to our music, fuck you. You know, it's like
oh yeah. If I could
elitism.
Yeah.
If I could take you back in time 25 years,
I feel like I'd be more at home.
to the amount. Here you would, but if you're in the UK, the amount of clicky scene bollocks that was going on there, and that kind of thing as well.
Yeah.
Like people deciding what other bands were, not letting the band speak for themselves. Like, oh, you're part of that scene. Oh, you sound like this. You're over there. You're in that scene. You're blah 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 blah. Oh, you're in that scene. Why do you sound like that if you're in that scene? And there was all this kind of stuff going on, and it kind of sucked the enjoyment out of it a bit.
Sometimes, sometimes.
You know, some bands you'd kind of meet at shows and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, it was almost like they would get slightly offended if you didn't live up to their expectations of what you should sound like.
Yeah.
And that was always a kind of a bit of a weird one, you know. It was like
It's just that wading through bullshit you can do without.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we've not found that. We've not found that recently, actually.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, all the bands.
Yeah.
I think just being like being kind of like probably older than pretty much everyone else in the scene, or most people in the scene,
Yeah.
and having kind of been there and done that once, and been through that once, and neither of us were particularly interested in all that kind of scene stuff, you know, and labelling and categorising and all that. We were never really into that anyway. So it's refreshing that this time around, when we've started this again, we have played with so many different bands, like yourself, all the way through to whoever else is at the other extreme end of requirement, which would be like Sheep or someone like that, I guess, would be at the other end.
Yeah,
Kind of.
Dunno.
Spawn, maybe.
But
Yeah.
Finding yourself on lots of different bills with lots of different bands and lots of different people. Been great. People blending influences from everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. Makes it fun and makes it refreshing instead of stale.
Our spiderweb of people and shows is one that we're very happy with. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you guys?
Funny.
They're funny.
Oh, goodness me.
Looking at me doing shit. No, I'm joking.
You haven't had enough drinks yet.
A sober reaction to that question. Oh, goodness. What's the funniest
That you're allowed to talk about.
that we're allowed to talk about?
Even if you're not, no.
I think, well, having the guy who was running Kindred on a Wednesday night when we first started practicing there, we didn't know what his name was. We found out his name's Craig, but we actually called him Garth because he looked like Garth Algar from Wayne's World. He really did, and he had the same mannerisms and everything like that. He was like Dana Carvey, Australian Dana Carvey, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think this is very, very early on, so we've only been practicing there a few times, just as us two.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, Dana Carvey's popped his head round the corner while we're practicing. He goes, "Oh, you guys sound great," like that, you know. Close the door, and then it always became like an informal. We actually found that he was abandoning his post when we were practicing on a Wednesday night. We'd find him drifting up and down the corridor instead of doing his job because he was basically hanging around our room, wanting to hear what we were going to do next. And
That's awesome.
He's lurking. He's lurking around.
Yeah, he's lurking in the depths, and he's lurking in corners. And then we'd come out with our gear on trolleys, and he just mysteriously happened to appear and go the other way. Sounded great tonight, guys. Like Australian Dana Carvey. We're like, thank you very much.
Like you weren't painting a fence. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We were there one day actually, and you know that guy, that big guy. What's his name? Coxie. That's he does that. Coxie's big break.
Oh yeah.
So he was there, right, at Yarraville at Kindred Studios.
Okay,
Right?
yeah.
And you know, being him the way that he is, he just assumed that he could just walk into the storeroom there and start grabbing his shit out for whatever they were doing.
Right.
And this guy, Craig from the studio, fucking get the fuck out of here, can't you? Get the fuck out of here, he said, like to this coxy guy. And this guy went from this towering like giant with a booming voice down to this little man who was like cowering from this, you know.
From Garth Algar, the Aussie Garth Algar.
Yeah. He's like, can't you fucking read? It says fucking staff only. This coxy guy was like, you know.
Well, I'm coxy.
We did a prep.
Exactly right. Like this guy in the studio just fucking owning it. It was great. It was fucking wonderful.
This is my domain now. You can fuck out.
Yeah, right. Like,
You like it? You're gonna fuck up. No,
There was another night we were practicing, and there was a really, really good Polynesian dub reggae band practicing across from us.
Yeah.
And I love dub reggae. I actually probably played the least amount I've ever played in the studio in Kid because I was too busy listening to them across the hallway. They were so good. I was like, if I start playing, I can't hear their drummer. Their rhythm section is amazing. We're a rhythm
That
section.
doesn't work for me.
And we're hearing these dub reggae boys across the hallway. So good.
they were having a good time too, which was
Oh yeah, they were.
yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Hey, so that's quite funny, Simon. I'm sure you've had that experience yourself. You're in a practice room and then you die down and you hear something completely different coming from the room next door, and then instinctively you know whether you want to stop playing for a bit and listen to it or crank back up because you don't want to hear what's going on next door.
Been a few times, right, where I've been in that situation. I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool in the other room, and everyone else is bitching. They can hear the band in the other room. I'm like, well, what's a fucking, what do you want? Like, what do you want?
We do get asked to turn the volume down.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we?
We do. We don't anymore. I think because we just
Scared those people off. They wouldn't book again near us.
yeah, but we have a habit of being super loud.
Well, they remember you now,
Like-
so.
Is this against other metal bands or non-metal
Shipyard
bands?
on tonight? Yeah, we'll book the next night. Thanks.
Because I imagine the metal bands would be alright, but if like someone's trying to do some like slow country song or something like that, and then all of a sudden you hear, boom, boom, we're like, what the
Someone's at the door. Yeah.
We had someone next to us one night, and she was a singer-songwriter in the kind of like the vein of, I'm just pulling two names out here, Katie Noonan, Kate Miller-Heidke, something like that. So it's very gentle music, and she's got a very gentle voice. And then next door we're going, "Rah!" like that, and like, in between songs we can hear her complaining, like, yeah.
It's like, oh my god, every time.
Can you guys turn the noise down, please?
Turn the noise
No, we really can't, sorry. This is what we do, and this is the volume we operate at.
This is metal.
Yeah.
Das ist metal, yeah?
We are called Shipyard.
Yeah, called Shipyard.
The name speaks for itself.
Get out of that shipyard.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't think she was too impressed, but you know what? We've never seen her since. I don't think she's ever rebooked.
I don't know. Just tell me whether or not is shipyard there. I'm not doing it today. Well, that's tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, I'll do it then.
You want at least 3 rooms separation from those.
Noisies.
Man. It's actually really, well, man. Band practice itself can be a really high stress thing as well. But oh God, okay, with the first shop we had, there was a jazz band playing in the studio, right? There was a trumpet player, a guitarist. There's a few people in there. Anyway,
You can't forget my alpaca.
But no, the guitarist. One thing that really spun me out as a jazz player was going on about how they weren't reading sheet music. I'm like, you're a jazz band? What the? Why do you need sheet music for? It's a jazz band. What the hell? It's like, isn't that supposed to be like the most freeform stuff ever? And you're complaining that the trumpet.
To a degree.
But it's like,
To a degree, yeah.
no, they're complaining the trumpet guy doesn't know how to read.
They
sheet
read
music.
the music and they stay on point, but they freeform it.
But like everyone else was kind of shocked, going, "Well, wait, this is a jazz band," and because the trumpet player couldn't read sheet music, he doesn't. He just plays by ear or whatever. And the guy's like, "Oh, what? I'm like, wait, you're a jazz band? You're that caught up about it? At the very least, respect the freeform. What the hell?" He didn't last in that band long. Like he literally was. I think it was his first or second show up at that place, for the audition. And then by then he was like, "I don't want to do it with them anymore." I'm like, "Why?" And he started complaining to me like I'd understand. I was just looking at him like, "I don't understand." He's like, "Oh, okay, fine." And then walked off. I'm thinking,
Because he couldn't read.
no, because he can read just fine. It was the trumpet player that couldn't read for the band.
Ah, okay.
And he just cracked about that. I'm like, does it matter when you can hear? You can listen.
Yeah.
listening to ears.
Yeah, well, there is different styles of learning, and there's people who are kinesthetic, and there's visual and all of that. So and some people have got memories, like phenomenal memories, so they can just visual memory.
And sorry to any jazz people I might have offended with that comment.
It's jazz, you can't offend them.
Hey, that guitarist got offended, so you don't actually know.
They'll just improvise. They'll be fine. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. This interview format is a tribute to jazz. Just remember that.
Yep. Yes, that's the most free-form thing ever. If you're expecting scripted stuff, well, watch something else because I don't know how to do that. Even if I got my script here, right, and I think I barely followed it at all. That's why you see me look at my phone. I'm not being rude. I'm not being like a generation something that plays with their phone these days.
No, this is actually we've only done one interview before, and that was a radio interview for Stu Carlson at Triple R. So
Yeah.
this is our first
Fantastic.
actual
I
being
love
on,
Triple R.
being on, aren't they great?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a big
So
thing.
this is the first one we've actually done on camera. So
Yeah. And this is the first time I'm doing it, so thank you so much for coming.
Yes,
Like,
thank you so much for being
Yeah,
here.
you're welcome.
best
Yeah.
test ever.
Um,
And I'm sorry if this ends up being a shambles of a video show for the first one. To you guys and to the viewers out there.
we mentioned it a bit earlier about when your next gig is and up and coming gigs, but I feel we should say it again because we've been talking about a bunch of other things. But
Yeah. So the 12th of October
yep,
in Preston. That's at the Preston Hilton, which is another DIY show.
yep,
There's heaps of really good bands on the bill. Religious Observance are playing.
Gil Cerrone.
Gil Cerrone playing.
ESP Mayhem.
ESP Mayhem playing.
Latibular playing that, yeah.
Latibular
They are.
playing. Yes,
Yeah.
they are. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a decent list.
The lineup is incredible. I'm about to post another ad for that show, so that'll be on there.
so keep a lookout for that.
Yep.
So,
And then the 26th
the
Yep.
of
26th
October, which I
Very
think
good.
we mentioned before, which is with Latibulate again.
Yep.
And Parla.
Yes, yeah.
It's Parla and Latibulate and ourselves, and possibly one more. We're not sure. We're not organising it, but that is on the 26th of October,
Yep,
and that's at Cafe Gummo on High Street, Thornbury,
fantastic.
which is just up the hill from Thornbury Local or the Croxton, if you know those two.
Yep,
It's literally the next block up.
yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
High Street's very good like that.
Amazing.
If you're going home, you're not going home because you walk past something to go into.
Yeah.
Incredibly I lived in East Brunswick for a few years there and used to dip over to Northcote Thornbury quite a bit and remembered that the High Street was good for a lot of things. And then having lived in the West for so long, didn't go over there for ages. And just last week, a few weeks back, we actually met with Ray from Primitive Moth, who we're going to record with next.
Okay, very good.
Something else we might
Yeah,
talk about actually.
yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Trying to think of it.
So the EP we got out, we were approached by Primitive Moth, and they want
And what's the EP called?
to Swing Bridge.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So they're gonna press that to 12-inch.
Ooh,
And they've asked us to join the roster, so we're recording again next year.
Mwah,
And
chef's
then
kiss.
hopefully we'll have something else out.
amazing,
Yeah.
amazing.
Man.
Yeah, we're looking at working on 3 brand new tracks, hopefully for that
Yeah.
when we record, and then recording those
Mm-hmm.
3 tracks and having those as the next release.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're very very early on at the moment, those tracks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we only have names for 1 out of 3, and that isn't even finished. So we're going to keep that under our hat for now.
Yeah.
Very good.
Good on
yeah.
you.
And then once it's ready
Keep
to
it in the lab.
show to
yeah.
everyone else,
Yeah.
we'll go for it then. But that's not too far off.
Mm.
I think we're currently still enjoying playing the 2 tracks off Swing Bridge, which are Longboat to Linda's Farm and Sirens, because they're our 2 newest songs, and we almost feel like we haven't actually finished with those. Like, we certainly haven't
Yeah.
run all the juice out of them in terms of playing them live. We're still finding newer and better ways to actually play those songs, even though we've already recorded them. I think that's what we do as well. We just constantly enhance what we're doing, and
Yeah, it's just how it is.
we just want to keep improving whatever song we're working on. You know, there's never a point where we think that's enough, or no, that's probably, there is a point where we say that's enough. Like, so we don't overindulge, but we're constantly trying to find ways to just hone and improve what it is we've decided on. I think that's a better way of putting it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Otherwise, you would end up doing a 28-minute noodle that goes nowhere at all. You do not want to do that.
Dibbly-doo.
Yeah. Like the whole Stoner Sludge Doom scene. Like, there's a certain corner of that is based on drone repetition and so on, but you can get bored with that.
Yeah.
You can overdo it. You can bleed all the juice out of it and leave nothing but a husk, and we don't ever want to do that. So, yeah. So that's what's coming up next. Is those
Fantastic.
2 shows. The recording in March into April, which is at what's the name of the studio?
Beveridge Road.
Beveridge Road.
Yeah.
With Mike Deland or Deslands, depending on how you pronounce it.
Yes.
Mike
So
Deland.
yeah, we're just finalising that. But
He's going to be
that'll be cool.
engineer. Who's going to be recording it. So
Cool.
yeah, and he's done a bunch of other local bands. So he's did the last E01 album, which is kind of once we heard what he'd done with them, and we played in Preston with Ishua as well. We played a show with them there. Once we heard what he'd done with the Ishua album, we were like, that's the guy for us. He understands where we're coming from, sound wise. So yeah, and it'll just take us on another one from the last recording. Although I've got to actually give props to Jason. You were saying about like that was the moment we knew working with him that we still had still a little bit further way to go.
Yeah.
And that's when we realised when we were working with him that we did still have a little bit further way to go. But for me especially, it was such a crash course learning experience in 48 hours. I picked up so much from that.
Yeah.
That I think that's just that's another thing that just pushed us on a bit more.
Yeah.
Kind of just coalesced a few things that I needed to sort out from my side. And once we'd been through that experience of recording there and come out the other side, it's improved. I don't know. A lot of things for us, just in terms of like, our relationship, sound-wise, sonically, live shows, kind of everything, really. Because it was a kind of like not a pressure cooker, but we were suddenly squeezing a lot into a short space of time.
Yep.
And that's when you really, really have to knuckle down and realise that there is actually a bit of work that needs doing here as well. As much as you want to keep it free and easy, there are times in whatever creative project you're doing where there's that grind process.
Yes.
It's
For
essential.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
If there's no grind process, you're not learning.
Yep.
So you really do need to. You don't want to break the gears on the motor, obviously, by pushing against something that's not going to work. But at the same time, you've got to go through some kind of compression, filtration, and then out the other end to be able to get what you want out of it. So,
Definitely.
So yeah, so we didn't mind that at all.
Great.
And I actually learned.
That was great.
I learned a lot from that. Yeah.
Do you have any more questions, Luke?
No more questions. I don't think so. I think that's... Oh, what are you going to play for us today?
Yeah.
What song are you going to be playing for us today?
Ooh. We're going to go Longboat to Linda's Farm first.
Yep.
And then we're going to go Drop Anchor second.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sirens third.
Oh, you've
Beautiful.
got one from everything, eh?
Yeah.
From every one of them.
So
Yeah.
we've got the 2 tracks off Swing Bridge and then Drop Anchor in the middle.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Because, yeah, I've actually been keeping up with the music. From Ballast to Serpentine to now Swing Bridge. It's all amazing. You can also hear the evolution. Like, I think I was telling you earlier. When you were telling me about how long you'd been away from a kit and how long you'd only been playing again, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
You sound amazing, man. But no, you can really... even from that point, you already sounded really good. But then listening to as your music progressed, you can really hear how your sound's progressing more. Really kind of knowing, well, I guess it's just knowing more what knowing your direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is something we are still figuring out. We're getting closer. But
Yeah. I feel like that's an evolution that happens it should happen over everything you release, right? There should be some sort of journey instead of sounding like you're just rehashing the same stuff. So I mean, it's been a long time since everyone has been alright with just going to see AC/DC for the same show every time,
Yeah.
These days, people are kind of like, nah, now we need, especially with the way that times are, it's all go, go, go. Man, people's attention span is 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can barely release an album anymore. They tell you should, drop release Spotify tracks and stuff. Man, the whole thing is Spotify in general. I mean, it's good. Look, okay.
I think that whole thing's a conformism thing anyway.
The only good thing about it, alright, they say, when you get people turning around to you going, oh, here's a gig for exposure. Spotify. Now, Spotify is the gig for exposure, right? It's the only good thing about it is exposure for things. I'll say right now, anytime that I have any band on here or when I'm dealing with bands or even with my own record label, NekroWolf Productions, one thing I always urge is for people to go directly to Bandcamp or directly to where,
Bandcamp.
the artist is supported completely.
Honour the artist, that's right.
I mean, it's all I understand it's all that convenience crap about, streaming off your phone or whatever. But no, if you really, really, really want to support the band, then your best bet is to going through things like Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the first thing we did was set up Bandcamp, wasn't it? The very first move.
So go to Bandcamp,
Yeah.
look up Shipyard,
Yeah.
get to it.
Everything's free.
Yep.
So
Yeah, we haven't charged a cent for anything yet, so we don't even have a threshold on our EP, do we?
No,
at the
no.
moment. I think it's just one of those things where we were someone obviously not a commercial enterprise. You know, we're not looking to make a fortune or anything.
No, but you're honouring yourself by doing this. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like it's blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
It takes time and energy, and money's not the only cost of things. Okay.
No, true.
So
very last
you're
point.
investing your time. That is worth a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your passion and you're investing this energy into creating something which is worth value,
Yeah.
which you guys are.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We
Yeah. That's, and you know what, you've hit the nail on the head there, because that's the whole principle behind what we're doing. Is if we weren't having fun, we wouldn't be sitting there doing it now.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be talking to you.
Yeah.
we don't want to
If this
exclude
was
Yeah, it's gonna be some stuck up sort of. Yeah, that's one thing I didn't want for this show, right? I want it to be kind of casual and stuff. I don't want it to be completely a mess. Which I might make it like anyway, but I don't want it to be like overly structured and scripted. Fucking. I don't have some executive producer to deal with. I don't have time frames to worry
natural
about.
order.
That crap. Fucking the script's just there, so I don't fuck up my words all the time like I've already half been doing. But it would have been worse if I didn't have my notes.
Yeah, it's just sheet music. Yeah.
Look, one thing is laziness, but another thing is I don't know. I feel like these things might add hilarity, or it might make people roll their eyes. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I might just take them out and start playing marbles.
Both.
So.
Yeah, eye rollers are welcome on board.
That's right.
It's more views for our hosts.
They'll roll faster on the shipyards.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming in for the interview.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you
You're
for inviting
more
us.
than welcome. Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
We've had a ball.
All right, stick around, and soon we'll be back with their live performances.